How's it going, everybody? Welcome back once again to Betting Expert, the MMA show. I'm your host. My name is Adam. Today I got 4 picks lined up for this weekend's UFC 253. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. My first pick is for the main event of the evening, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. If you follow me on Betting Expert, you probably already know that I'm backing Izzy to get the win here head-to-head. You could get him at around odds 1.58, I think, at this point in time. Couple of reasons why I'm all over Adesanya at these odds. Reach. Huge reach advantage, 8 inches in reach. Adesanya is really good with distance, and when you mix that with his reach, he has a really big advantage in this fight. I mentioned his distance control, his height. I'm not gonna bore you with all that stuff. I'm sure you've heard it all before. Here's what I am gonna say. Adesanya's composure is something that we haven't seen much of. Those type of fighters that are willing to change their styles and make different game plans based on their different opponents. We saw in Izzy's last outing against Romero that he was really just patient and just adapted to the pace of the fight and just essentially won the fight with leg kicks and short jabs and all that stuff. And I really like that about Adesanya, the fact that he is so strategic and technical in his approach to fighting. On the other side, we have Costa, who is actually the opposite of this. He actually does not change his style much based on who his opponent is. In his 5 outings in the UFC, he's pretty much approached every fight the same. Relentless forward pressure and just throwing bombs in the close range with like head-body-head combinations. And he also did that in his last fight against Joel Romero. And most people would probably argue that it's a bad idea to fight Romero that way, but it worked out for him. But he did face his fair share of adversity in that fight, and for that reason, I think the difference in fighting IQ is actually the biggest factor for me laying this bet on Adesanya. So all in all, I'm going with the champion here to defend his title in the main event. Alright guys, second bet for me. I'm all over Dominick Reyes here in the co-main event. He takes on Jan Blachowicz for the vacant light heavyweight title. I like Reyes in this spot, but I can't really lay anything on him in the head-to-head market because his price is too short. I think he's about a 1.36 favorite. So I'm going to the prop market where I want to place a bet for him to win this fight via decision. A couple of reasons why I think this is going to happen. For my first point is that Blachowicz actually has really good endurance. Both fighters do actually, good chins. I think Blachowicz has only been knocked out once in the UFC by Thiago Santos, who is like one of the most terrifying punchers in all of UFC. I don't blame him for that. That stuff happens. Second point is that the chance of a knockout actually happening in most weight classes goes down as the fight progresses. So, for instance, in a 5-round fight, which this is going to be, in the championship rounds, the chance of a knockout happening is really, really slim. And actually, if you look at this historically, very few finishes actually happen in those championship rounds 4 and 5. And I really do think that Blachowicz can survive the first 3 rounds against Reyes, even though he does hit hard. But Reyes is actually, contrary to popular belief, I think he's gone the distance quite a few times in his career actually. So I think that gives us some value on these odds. I think you can get Reyes via decision at 3.75. I think that's really good value. So I'm picking him to beat Blachowicz via decision. Alright guys, time for pick number 3. We head to the undercard. Aleksa Camur versus William Knight. Head to head. I like Camur here as the favorite at odds 1.53. His opponent, William Knight, is a UFC debutant. He's making his UFC debut. We know from experience historically that the UFC debutants tend to actually lose more often than not, and I think this gives us some value on Camur, who is undefeated as a pro. He's 6-0. He looked really good in his last outing against one of Stipe Miocic's training partners. Great composure, takedowns, mixes it well with his strikes. I'm all over Camur here. I really like him. I don't have much bad to say about him, honestly. And he's really young, so we know these guys that are really like in the 20s, they evolve a lot from fight to fight. All in all, I really like Camur here, so I'm picking him as the favorite at odds 1.53. And then we go to my extra tip for this fight, my fourth and final tip. I like Shane Young to beat Ludovit Klein head to head. He is a favorite at 1.80. This tip does come with a little suggestion or a little comment. I do want a little more value on Shane in this matchup. He is facing Klein, who is a really established fighter outside of the UFC. Klein is making his UFC debut. That gives us some value on Shane Young, who's the favorite here. But Young is actually a established UFC fighter at this point with 3 fights in the organization. 2 wins, his only loss against the current featherweight champion, Alexander Volkanovski. You know, I don't expect him to beat the champ there, but nevertheless, I really like Shane Young, but I just want a little bit more value on him since he is going up against a really established fighter with, I think his Klein only has 2 losses or something, and a lot of wins. But either way, Shane Young is super well-rounded. Strikes, takedowns, grappling. I really like to see him fight. But I do want a little more value. So if his odds go up a little bit, I will be suggesting that he is also a very solid pick for this fight. But right now, I haven't really made up my mind yet, but yeah, a little more value on him would definitely be good. Alright guys, that's all for me. Enjoy the fights this weekend. I hope whether you follow my picks or make your own, I hope your bets go through. Really looking forward to especially the main event between the 2 undefeated fighters, Adesanya and Costa. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. I'll see you guys next time.